welcome. We're starting our live stream right now. Thank you for being here. We're starting live at 5 check-in, and this is our weekday live stream where we take just a few moments to check in with ourselves. Just sit, relax for a little bit, take a deep breath, and check in with ourselves and see how we're doing, how we're feeling. I'm sitting outside because it's a gorgeous, gorgeous day here in Boston today. It's really nice and warm and sunny. That's my favorite kind of weather, so I'm really excited to be just doing our live stream from outside from the yard today. Always grateful for that. Today I wanted to talk to you guys a little bit about negative thoughts and the times when sometimes we get into kind of like a negative thought spiral. So if anyone's ever gone through something like that, I'd love to hear from you. Feel free to join in the comments below and let us know if you've ever experienced something like that. So a negative thought spiral is just kind of like when you kind of have maybe one negative thought, and that just kind of evolves into more than one. So sometimes if we have a negative thought, it just kind of brings along other negative thoughts, and one thought leads to another, and soon you find yourself in a really big, deep hole of feeling really down. And sometimes these thoughts, they just come really out of nowhere. If you have ever dealt with depression, you might be able to relate to what I'm saying right now. If you have ever in the past, or if you do currently deal with anxiety, you might also recognize some of the things that I'm talking about. But even if you haven't, even if you've never had depression or anxiety, this can happen really to anyone, and that's when we start thinking about more and more things that start making us feel kind of sad or kind of down. At the end of the day, we just kind of spent the entire day moping around. I want to talk to you about how to recognize when that is happening to you, and most importantly, how to recover from that, because that's really what matters. There's a lot of times when it's kind of impossible to prevent these thoughts from coming, right? We don't always wake up feeling super excited, super, cheerful, feeling awesome every morning. That doesn't always happen. Sometimes we wake up and we're not feeling so great, or we feel stressed out about something or anxious about something. That's just normal. So it's really important to realize when these feelings and these thoughts are coming on. And once you recognize that, you can then take specific steps to recover from that, so you don't allow it to ruin your entire day. So I want to tell you guys a little bit about what I went through this weekend. I realized that there was a whole lot of negativity just invading my mind, and it really ended up taking my entire day. So I had a wonderful weekend. I traveled with my husband. We came back on Monday, and on Tuesday I ended up getting distracted looking at some things online. My husband and I had talked about, our plans for the near future and what we would like to have and what we would like to accomplish. In looking through these things online, I was quickly reminded of a lot of things that I'm not able to do yet, as of right now, for many different reasons. The more I started looking through these things, the more I started feeling bad about not being able to have it. Instead of doing what I normally do, which is part of my routine, is a gratitude exercise, right? Where I sit down and I look at all that's good in my life, all of the good things I have, and that always works to cheer me up, to make me feel better, to make me feel excited about the day. But what happened that day was that I didn't do that, and instead what I did was I started specifically looking at all of the things that I didn't have, all of the things I wasn't able to accomplish yet. What happens to our attention and our emotional state when we specifically choose to look at things that we don't have and kind of glamorize those things, as opposed to looking at all of the wonderful things we have and feel grateful for those things? What happens is you become very upset and sad and feeling bad about yourself. And all of a sudden, what you have is no longer enough. And this is something that we as a society tend to do a lot. When we compare ourselves to other people, when we look at things online, on the internet, when we look at other people's lives, when we do that exercise of comparing ourselves and reminding ourselves of all of the things we don't have, you will always end up feeling bad about yourself because you're not allowing yourself to see what's good. That's what brings on that feeling of dissatisfaction. What I have is just not enough. So that was the first mistake I made. And it happens. We all make that mistake sometimes. But it's important to recognize that and see when you're doing that so you can recover from that. Here is my advice for you if you find yourself in a place where you are comparing yourself to other people. If you are feeling really badly about things you can't do, one, recognize that you're doing that. So that's the first step. When you recognize that you are doing that, that's where your mind is going, just automatically, that's the number one step. And now you can then see, you know what, this is not serving me. This thought pattern is just not helping me. It's not making me feel good. So what can I do about it? So what you do is you have to pay attention to what you're telling yourself. In that moment, you may be telling yourself that you're a failure because you're not able to have all these things that you wanted to have yet. When you do that, you start feeling worse about yourself, and you may be telling yourself you're not good enough, you haven't done enough, you haven't worked hard enough, you're not smart enough. There's so many different versions of you're not enough that you may be telling yourself. So it's important to recognize when you're doing that and stop. So stop doing that. That's the first thing you do. You stop telling yourself these things and you choose to look at all of the good things you do have. I recommend when you feel so dissatisfied with where you are or who you haven't yet become, just sit down, take a piece of paper and write down 10 things that you have in your life right now that are good, that are positive, that are a plus, that maybe some other people may not have. One of my favorite parts of this is taking a look at where you are now in life, the things you've accomplished, all the things you have, and think about if there have been any other times in your life when you didn't have those things, the things you have right now. And that goes for everything really, for your relationships, for your job, for the tangible things you have in your life. Just remember there may have been times in your life when you wish you had that, and you have it now. Even though it's not the ideal thing that you've always wanted, you have it, and there's a lot to be grateful for, and there's a lot to feel happy about. It's really easy for our mind to spiral out of control when we get started on these negative thought patterns. The more you analyze your own thought patterns and how your mind works, the more you'll get to know yourself, and the more you'll be able to recognize these patterns, and the better off you'll be when that happens, because you'll be prepared to handle it in a way that makes you feel better, that doesn't get you stuck in these patterns. Because when something like this happens, that can drag on for days, for weeks, for months. If you allow it to continue and you allow yourself to keep looking at all that's lacking, all of the negative, your mind will keep automatically going to that place. So it's up to you to recognize these patterns and stop them and shift your mindset to something positive, to thoughts that uplift you, to things that make you feel better about yourself. I just wanted to share with you guys a little bit of when I saw myself going through this week, and how I was able to stop the pattern before it dragged on for days or weeks and it ruined my mood. So I just wanted to share that with you guys. I love sharing things that help me deal with depression and anxiety symptoms. That's why I do these live streams, because I hope that it can help you guys. So if you have any tips on how to stop negative thoughts or negative thought patterns, feel free to leave them in the comments below. I love to hear your comments. I love it when you find me on social media, so feel free to reach out anytime and comment. on this video, and let's keep sharing our strategies so hopefully we can keep helping one another deal with these difficult things. That's it for today. Thank you so much for watching. Thank you for being here. Stay tuned and we'll be sharing more things. So thank you so much and have a good weekend.